Well, hey, friends, and welcome back to the Creative Shop Talk podcast. Thanks for being here. Hope you're having a fabulous day. Happy Monday if you're listening to us on Podcast Drop Day. I want to just take a minute and thank you for listening. I know you have a busy day, and I really appreciate you putting us in your earbuds. I want to make sure that you have subscribed to the podcast. If you are enjoying the conversations that we're having here on the Creative Shop Talk podcast, hit that subscribe button wherever you're listening, and so you will not miss another episode. We drop episodes every week, and we are super excited for all the new listeners that we have been getting. So if you've been a long-time listener, hey, good to have you back. And if you're new to us, hi, we're so happy you're here. Today on the podcast, I have a special guest. I've invited Brooke Riley, who's a friend. We've known each other. We've been in the same coaching circles for so long, and I have been watching her grow her business. I have coached in her groups, and we've just kind of been in the same world for a very long time. And I'm like, I have got to get Brooke on the podcast and have a chat with her. So Brooke is the CEO and the founder of Refabbed. It's a DIY decorating and lifestyle website. She's also owns Refabbed Boutique, which is an online women's boutique. She's going to talk a lot about that. She has maximized her social media presence to well over 1 million followers. I'm going to say it again, 1 million followers. It's crazy. She offers online business coaching and teaches entrepreneurs and aspiring business owners how to grow and maximize their online presence. So I asked Brooke to come in and chat with us about what's working on Facebook, what's working in social media. We talk about that, but we also, and she drops some really great reminders of tried and true things, but she also gives us some great tips of what's working right now. So you'll love that. We also talk about working with your spouse, which is, kind of not a hot topic, but it's a common topic that I have with some of my retailers. So she has some great advice and tips about that. And we have a really frank conversation about what kind of mindset and actions and things that we have to do to take our business and grow it and keep it growing. We can't stay still, right? We always have to be moving forward. We always have to be growing and evolving our business, and how she's done it and the mindset that she's had to do around that. So without further ado, I am going to jump right in, let you listen to my conversation with Brooke Riley. Let's go. Running a retail business doesn't have to be so hard. Welcome to the Creative Shop Talk podcast, the go-to podcast for creative shop owners, studio owners, and independent retailers. I'm your host, Wendy Batten, retail business coach and mentor. Each week, I'll share simple, proven business strategies, inspiring stories from fellow retailers, and advice from industry experts. Together, we're going to work to find the success you want from your retail business, with more profits in your till and a little more joy in your life. Well, welcome, Brooke, to the Creative Shop Talk podcast. I am so excited to have you here today. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you so much, Wendy. I'm super excited to be on here today.
So I was trying to do the math for how long I feel like we've known each other. And I honestly can't do the math. I think it's been 10 years, but then I think that can't possibly be 10 years.
I don't know that it's been quite that long because I've been in business 9. So it's probably been 7 or 8 though. I mean, it's been close because I know I met you, or at least knew you in the online world pretty close to when I first started. So
Yes.
a good long while.
Yeah, I know we were in a in a coaching group together, because I know we both value understanding and investing in education. I still do. I know you still do as well too.
Yes,
Right?
certainly.
We're
Yes.
both, I'm a leapfrogger. I love just like learning from people who have already done it. And so yeah, it's been a long time. So I've been following your journey, and I've had the privilege of coaching in your group a couple of times, and I've had just watching all the things that you're doing. So I'm super grateful to have you here. I had to pick your brain. I just said I had so many things that we can ask Brooke about. So you are so amazing at so many things. And can you tell us a little bit about your business and the business journey to get where you are and what you're doing right now?
Yeah. So 9 years ago, I started Refabbed, which is a DIY decorating website where I just basically share inspiration, renovations, DIY projects, flips, decorating hacks, stuff like that. It's a blog. That's where it all started 9 years ago. And then over time, it's like just changed and morphed. It's still that's still the home base. That's still where my creative zone is and all that good stuff. But a few years in, well, 3 years in, I branched into also having an e-commerce store, the Refab Boutique. And then that same year started my coaching group where I teach business owners in the online, well, business owners of any sort. They don't have to be in the online space, but the coaching group teaches them how to grow and expand in the online space and understand multiple revenue streams and how to use them in your business. So I got like those three facets of my journey of my business, and then also incorporate into my blog now travel. So I travel Instagram, and then I travel a lot with work and pleasure and get to write about it for my blog as well. So that kind of is incorporated into the blog. So there's all these different facets, and they all just the original came about because I have a passion for creativity and making things new and beautiful and talking about it and writing about it. So that's where the blog came from. And that's still, like I said, my home base. And then the rest of the businesses that spawned off of that was basically needs that I was hearing from the community that I was building. And I was able to tap into those and help them and serve them and also create business opportunities in that. So that's what all is going on right now. Those are the three main parts of the businesses that are going in all different directions. The boutique, the Refab Boutique, it's online only. So we have a warehouse, and we're actually in the process of building a new warehouse. It's 18,000 square feet to house everything in all of our offices. We ship nationwide and then a lot internationally too. So that's all done out of one base, but it's all in the online space. So that's pretty cool too.
Yeah, it's been really cool watching you grow these businesses. So similar, that's sort of a similar, not a similar path, but we had the same thing. We started with a blog. I started with a blog, and then it turned to a creative project, and then I opened the store. And it's just funny because a lot of my business, same thing. I saw the need in the community as well too. So,
Yes.
but that's so fantastic. So it's been really fun for me to watch you do the Refab Boutique. And a lot of my retailers, we watch what you're doing, and it's just been really fun watching you grow that side of it. And I think if I'm not mistaken, that grew from everybody asking you, like, what are you wearing? Where did you get
Yeah.
that outfit? Like, from the creative side of things. You're painting
Yes.
on painting on air and doing your Facebook lives, and people are like, where'd you get those earrings?
That
I
is
saw that
exactly.
transpire. Yeah.
That's the only reason it came about. I had no desire to start a store. Like that wasn't like, some people just have that
Yeah.
desire originally. They're like, I love this. I want to start this. That
Mhm.
was not me, but there was a need for it and people were asking constantly, like what you just said.
Mm.
And I'm like, well, honestly, I couldn't tell them. Half the time I would have gotten it 2 or 3 years ago, or maybe
Yeah.
on sale here or at a
Yeah.
thrift store. I mean,
Yeah.
who knows?
Yeah.
And if I could find an affiliate link for it, I might would get 2% or something. And who in the world knows? And it was just a nightmare. And really, I was just not serving them at all. I was like, oh, well, over here, over here. And they're like, oh, I wish I could get one. And this went on for several months. And I'm like, there's a better way for this. And so that's when it started I decided I was going to do an online store. And then it started with drop shipping only for like 6 months, just to basically fill out the need for it. I guess, am I right in this? Are they just asking, or will they really buy? People
Right.
can ask all the time, are they really going to put their money where their
Right.
mouth is? We know
Yeah.
that. And they did. And they took everything, like this was drop ship. This was not timely. It was weeks till they would get their order. It wasn't packaged good, like all the things that it was like you don't want to do. But they were still doing it because they wanted to buy from me. They wanted what I had, and they were willing to go through all that to get it. And once I saw that, okay, this is legit, they do want this, I got to get a better way to do this than what I'm doing. I didn't like that process. Had no personalization, no customer service. Like it was just literally, okay, I'll find a way to get you what I've got. And so then that's when we started the true wholesale retail model, and started shipping to our customers directly and all that. And it's grown we're 5 years old. Actually, we're 6 years old. We're 6 years old in 2 months. It's amazing. It's went that fast. So the boutique will be 6 in May, and it's just like blown my mind
That
where
is,
it's
yeah, it's
going.
been really fun watching you do that. And you primarily work, not primarily, but you have, and you teach this, and this is what in your business coaching, social media growth, like doing it on Facebook. I mean, Facebook and social media. Do you have any tips or strategies that, that you're seeing working right now? Like I see what your people are doing and what you guys are doing. Do you have what's working for retail sales right now, in your opinion? Because I know it changes and evolves all the time. I mean, are we
It
still,
does.
yeah, yeah,
But I mean, it does change and evolve all the time, and you've got to be willing to pivot if you need to, make some little
right.
changes and constantly keep up with it. But there's some things that always stay the same and are consistent. And what I'm seeing working right now, honestly, in the boutique side of things, we still go live all the time.
Yeah,
That's kind of our bread and butter. Every retail business is going to have one way that's like probably their primary way that they make the most sales. And ours is live video because, and I think the reason is that's kind of how we started. We started just doing live video. It was me sharing, I might only have 3 new tops that day to share, and I would just get on live and share them and talk about them. And they connected with me personally and connected, like I made relationships with the buyers.
yeah,
And then they got to the point that they really enjoyed seeing it live. They liked seeing the fit. They liked
yeah.
hearing my description. They liked seeing different models, all that. And so over time, we just kind of kept carrying on that model. Now it's gotten bigger and bigger and bigger to where we might have 200 new items a day that we're sharing throughout different lives throughout the day and on different bodies. But that is still primarily where the majority of our sales come from, is live selling through our app. And we also stream it to Facebook. So, it's both places. And then of course we've got our website, and I can go directly there as well. And the website does well on its own, but I feel like it's all being pushed also from live selling. And then if somebody is not as interested in live selling, we probably caught their attention there.
Yeah.
And then they know to go to the website and they can look at it from that perspective too. So any video content that you can do for your store, some people don't want to hear it. Some people want to turn you off immediately when you say that. But if you're truly in business to make money and to try to flourish and to try to grow, you've got to do what's working. And video content is
Yeah,
working. Like, and I think it always will work,
yeah,
because that is the personal connection, especially if you're, I don't know. It really, I don't think it's especially if you're online. I am online, but even if I just had a brick and mortar and no online presence,
yeah.
showing the stuff in video form, Mary at home, she may have no intentions of coming to your store today, but
Mhm.
you get on there and she happens to see you on social media, and she's like, well, that reminds me, I hadn't been by there in forever. I love that top she's wearing. And she sees something in the background of the
Yeah,
store that
yeah,
catches her eye. Next thing you
yeah.
know, she's driving to town and she's coming to see you. And then she tells her friend, and you know how it works. One picture is just not going to do that. It's just not going to drive those sales and that traffic like video will. So I'm going to say all day, every day, video, video, video.
Yeah. So I agree. And I'm glad that you do as well, because I'm always saying just showing products is so cold and static, and like that's the faceless selling. And I think that's almost the lazy way out. And if you're listening to us, and I don't mean that, I know you're working hard. I know and you're like rolling your eyes because Brooke and I are saying, to do a video, but doing a shop tour. And that's what I see with your people, showing what it fits, like showing how the earrings are hanging. I mean, it's just interesting, and showing a table setting. I mean, showing
Oh,
different
yeah.
things in video. So I'm so funny. I am one of those buyers that I don't sit and watch live video. I don't have time. I'm a really busy
I don't either.
person. I don't
I
sit
actually
and
don't
watch.
either.
I don't
Yeah.
ever, like, I don't have time to watch your live video. Like, I see yours pop up. I see your girls, and again,
Mhm.
you also have your team doing it. Brooke is not
Yes.
doing this. She's got
No,
employees
no,
to do it,
no.
but we're seeing your people, but it's still connecting. I still see it trigger something, see that top, like you just said. Now I'm going to go either get in my car and go to the store, or I'm going to get in my car, or I'm going to go to website, or whatever I'm going to do. It's just, it is funny. I do see the video working and I call it humanization of your brand, like connecting and putting faces, putting people, putting your customers, and I see you do that with your brand,
Yes.
both sides of your business. I mean, with you're still your face. It's not just look at my projects or come to my blogs. It's look at me. My kids and I are on a ski slope, come and read the blog,
Exactly.
come and read the blog. We have to
Mhm.
show video. And I do think video, whether people want to love that or not, it does work, right?
It does work. And that exactly the whole reason of what you said, it works because it gives personalization to your brand. It
Mhm.
shows who you are. People always buy from a person.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter how big or how small your brand is. People are buying from a person that they're connecting to with that brand. And I still go live twice a week. That's kind of,
Mhm.
I'm on a schedule for that on the boutique side. And then the
Yeah.
girls, our team, are doing all the others, like you said. But I mean, I still am connecting, and they might connect really well with me, or they might connect really well with Megan or Sarah or whoever, but they're connecting with somebody with our brand, and that's what sells every time.
Okay, let's talk about that as well too when it comes to team growth and letting things go, because that's another thing. People think I'm the face of the brand, it's my shop, and that's how I felt honestly in my business for a long time when I was running my shop. And I feel like you've probably been like that with a lot of things as well too. It's hard to let things go, but then it's empowering as well too when you see your audience connecting with your team members. A little
Yes.
tiny piece of me didn't like that at first. I'm going to be honest. The first time I had employees, and the first time I walked in on a Saturday, and a customer walked in and said, "Oh, Lise isn't here today," and I was like, "Well, I can help you," and they're like, "No, wait and come back because I really like
Yeah,
how
and you're
Lise
like,
does that."
what?
I was like, but I, so I see the same,
Mhm.
with my retailers as well too. So this particular, I from the outside looking in, I have noticed that you've made some big shifts even internally, like getting more help. Has that been a difficult shift for you? Like, do you have a hard time letting go, or was that a big move for you?
Okay, so it's not a big move now, but it was definitely a big move at first. And so I will say this to anybody because I know that your retailers, they're either very seasoned or they're maybe just starting out and trying to. So it never gets completely easy because it's still your baby.
Yeah,
It's still you birthed this and it means everything to you. And it's never going to mean as much to your employees as it means to you, even though they may be great and love it. You're still the one that's going to hold all that. So I get that. But your baby can stay small forever or it
right,
can grow. And to make it grow and thrive and you to be able to reap the benefits of why you even started it and not being a slave to it where you have no freedom and you
right,
have no money and you may be making money, but if you don't have the freedom to go enjoy that and spend time, then what's the point? And so you have to make a choice that, hey, I'm really good at some things and I was really good at starting this business and getting it to where it is. And I'm really good at knowing how to do XYZ, whatever. But there are people out there that will be just as good as me or even better than
better,
me at certain things that I have to hire out and delegate. Because if I tried to do it all, I'm letting some things go and I'm half doing this, half doing that, half doing that because I'm pulled in all these directions. But if I can stay in my zone of genius and stay in my lane and do what I'm really, really, really good at and hire out some of these other people that can help, then all we're doing is going up and I'm staying happy, content, not burn out,
right.
and
Yeah,
also being able to finally reap the benefits of all my hard work. And so at first, yes, I felt like I had to do it all. I felt like nobody could write an email as good as me. And really, when you think about that, it's like so vain. Like you're not trying to be that way, but it's like
yeah. No,
you
I
think of
agree.
it, you're like, I was so vain. Like I thought I was just the best at everything, I guess. But because you thought nobody can say it like I want to say it, nobody can do this like I want to do it, nobody can order this shirt like I can, nobody can
It's
do
like,
this.
yeah,
That is not true. Like nobody can be me. Nobody can get on screen and talk about certain things like I can, or there's certain things that only I can do. And you got to know the things that only you can do and the things that somebody else can do. And once you let go, it's not going to be easy. It's going to feel very awkward. It's going to be hard. You're going to end up micromanaging a little bit more than you should at the beginning and inserting yourself more than you should. And that's totally natural. But once you're able to let go a little bit and watch that person thrive and watch the people start relating to them, and you realize, I can breathe a little more, this kind of feels nice, then it gets easier and easier with each hire after that. But that first hire was the hardest for me because it was very hard for me to let go.
Yeah, I think we do let our ego get in the way. And it's like raising our children to I hate calling my business my baby, but it is, we've birthed it. You're right. You're right. So, but it is what it is, right? Like I hate leaving that baby with somebody else, but you know what? There's lots of people that can take care of your baby better maybe than you can, right? So
Exactly.
I love to say hire to your weakness, and those are my first hires, like bookkeeping and all of those things. I mean, like I don't want to be sitting here doing that. I want to be talking to Brooke or doing, I want to be doing things like you said, my more zone of genius things and serving my people. So I
And that's
love
not
that.
what's going to make you money. Like
Right.
when you get to the point, and I think maybe this is where I really had to get to in a mindset too, is like, there's so many things in a business
Yeah.
besides just selling and or being the front face.
Yeah.
And if your time is spent doing all this stuff in the background all the time
Yeah.
and you're not even able to make sales, like we need to be doing in our businesses what are going to make money and help the business thrive and be able to keep it going and help
Yeah.
our family and our employees' family and keep it growing. And if we're doing the bookkeeping ourselves, the emails ourselves, the this ourselves, the that ourselves, running all the errands ourselves, like we can't, when we finally get to the camera, we're exhausted and
No
everything
energy. Yeah.
else, there's no
Yeah.
energy. Like
Yeah.
exactly what you said, like weaknesses, or even if we're decently good at it, that's not where we need to be spending our
Mhm.
time
Yeah.
because that's not what's bringing in the income. And I call it AR versus IP. It's something I teach a lot. And AR is simply anxiety reducing, and
Hmm.
IP is income producing. So it's either you're doing anxiety reducing tasks that
Yeah.
are over you, like, I know I got to manage that QuickBooks. I got to put those receipts in there. I got to
Yeah.
do that.
Yeah.
And like
Yeah.
to me, that's an anxiety. It's not producing any income. It has to be done. It's not that it doesn't have to be
Yeah.
done, just like the dishes or whatever else. But during your work hours,
Hmm.
you need to be doing things that are actually producing income,
I agree.
because we will get so caught up on all that other stuff that
Hmm.
we forget to produce any income, but we've been so busy with everything else. And how is that really even a business if you're not doing
Well,
anything to
and
produce
that's what keeps us in that. And a lot, I want, if anybody's left us, and I want you to come back now and pay attention to this,
income?
because what happens is we get caught in that, what you just said, there's no growth.
Mhm.
And people think growth means, I don't know, have to have 5 stores or something. I don't know. Growth means profit and happiness, in my
Right.
opinion, like freedom. Like growth
Yes.
means we're at a point where the business isn't running us. We're running the business and we're reaping the to what you said it beautifully earlier when you said, we want to be able to enjoy this business that we created and have time to whatever it is that fills our bucket, travel or whatever that is. So, whatever it is. So that was just really a really great point. Your team, I just want to touch on a little bit because a lot of our listeners, I just did a poll. This is fun. I just did a poll inside some of my coaching groups, and a lot of retailers and a lot of small business owners, it's a partner thing. It's a, you know, a couple thing, like, a married couple thing, and running businesses together. And I love that. We are probably the poster children of that. My husband and I have
Yeah.
been working for 27 years together running businesses, which is crazy and blows my mind sometimes. And I only know that because my daughter's 27, and it's like the year she was born. Like, we sort of started that year, and you're like, wow, right? So, and you and your husband work together. I always love asking, do you have any advice? Like, how do you manage working? Do you have your separations of duties? Is it all thrown in one bucket? Or because you and Brandon do a beautiful job from the
Thank
outside, from the outside looking at you, how you run your business. Any tips for couples or married couples
Yeah,
working
I'd
together?
love to give some tips. So, okay, so let me preface with this. So, when I started Refabbed, it was just me.
Yeah.
He was supportive of it. He, all
Yeah.
the things. I quit my full-time job after about 6 months in. We agreed,
Mhm.
we prayed about it. We felt like that was the right move. He was going to take on all the financial responsibility at his job. He was a journeyman lineman, and I was leaving a really good job to come home, really making nothing at that point. So then he was supporting. I had 2 young kids, and he was all the financials. I was making maybe $200 or $300 a month at that point, like nothing really at all. And so he was always the supporter, going to work, doing his thing, making as much money. We always did side hustles, whatever. Then about 3 years in, right at the time that the boutique started, he tore his bicep tendon and had to have surgery and had to be out of work for 16 weeks. It was during that time that he came home, and I was like drowning because I had started the boutique. I was like 3 months in on all this drop shipping. I was doing all this other stuff with refab, and had not started the coaching just yet, but was like, I'm drowning. And he understood, but didn't understand because he wasn't there all the time.
And you have 2 young children as well.
I had 2
during
young
all
children.
of this. Yes. Yeah.
Oh yeah. They were like 2 and 4 or something at the time, super young. And so I'm like, ah. And so when he got home, he immediately started taking over stuff with the store and just started, he's like, I got this, over these next few weeks, I'll do this. While he was home, we saw that we could work together. Some couples can't work together, and I get that. And we have to work separately together because we can't be in the same room all day. Don't get me wrong. Like, we ain't a fairy tale.
Here too. Yes.
And so anyway, he started seeing like his genius is like the analytics and the management of all the back end. I'm the creative. Like, we have 2 totally different skill sets, 100%. And so we would not work well together if we were both creatives. We would not work well together if we were both all the numbers. And so he started running the business side of the boutique. And then by the end of his 16 weeks, we were already talking about, okay, we had big plans for the boutique at that point and changing it up. We had come together on all this. And so within about 6 months after he went back to work from his surgery, he came home full time. People thought he was crazy. They thought I was crazy already. And they were really crazy. They were both doing this. But he takes all the ownership and responsibility at the boutique. I take all the responsibility and ownership of refab, the decorating, coaching. And he steps in on the coaching side and like retreats because he's so good business minded. But I run it, do all that. He does 1 Q&A a month and answers questions as he needs to that relates to him. And then he usually like speaks at the conferences I do and stuff like that. So he's very involved there, but it's really just me on that side. And he manages all the employees, everything. We've got 14 employees at our warehouse. Like, he does all of that. He is the sole one responsible for the scaling and growth of the boutique. Like, I've been the face of it. I know how to market it and all that. I'm that zone of genius. But as far as getting things in place and all the logistics and helping it grow, like, that's totally been him. And that's where his office is over there with them. He's managing women all day. So he's really good at that, and that's not something I'm near as good at all. I mean, I can say that with full certainty. And so we do have totally different responsibilities on what we do. And then sometimes he'll ask for my advice or my input. Sometimes I'll ask for his. We respect each other, but we also both know we're working in our own zone of genius. So we trust each other to do that and not try to step over the line of what we know we're not the best at.
I love that. Yeah, I love that. How do you not, or do you have any tips, or do you maybe not talk about work and have work be the topic of conversation all the time? Because I know we're guilty of that. Like, my kids, like, I have two grown adult kids, and they either took a lot of really great things from our conversations at dinner every night, or they didn't. I don't know. I'll have to bring them on the podcast sometime. But
yeah, that'd be a great podcast.
Yeah. Well, and one of them's an entrepreneur, so one of them has his own business, and but when I look back, and even now, sometimes it's hard to not talk about, because I don't know if it's just I don't know if this happens in other couples, but like, all I know is entrepreneurial life, really, and that's how my brain works as well too. So we spend a lot of time looking at opportunities, talking about things that we could be doing, or on a business. And it's sometimes hard to turn that off. Do you have, is that your life as well? Or is that your experience?
Life.
Yeah. Okay.
That's my life. And honestly, especially if they're in it with their spouse, like you said.
Yeah.
That is the life of every single entrepreneur I've ever talked to that's in business with their spouse. And I don't think it's a good, healthy thing necessarily, because it is so hard. But when you are wired this way, entrepreneurially, I don't even know if that's a word, but you know what I'm saying? Like, it is so hard to turn that off. And both of my kids, they're 8, they're not 8, they're 10 and 12, and about to be 11 and 13 this summer. And they're both very entrepreneurial minded. And I'm sure that's from us,
I
but
love it. Yeah.
they're constantly thinking of opportunities too. But I'll tell you, we're not good at it. So I'm not going to pretend we are about turning it off. It's always conversations around something. Even if we see, we do this, and you probably do this too. Even if we're on vacation and we're passing 10 mini golf courses, we're like, I tell you what, those mini golf courses, if you think about how many this, it's like you just cannot help it. You just do that.
We do it too.
And so we do try to, when we're with the kids, and especially if we're on vacation or something, to just make a point. Even if we start to talk about it, we're like, look, we can talk about this when they go to bed, or we can talk about this later. Let's table this and be in the moment more, and not constantly think. And at dinner, trying to just focus on conversations with them. We do movie nights a lot. We watch movies as a family. And if you're watching a movie, if you're paying attention to it and doing it like you should, you're not going to be talking. And that's good family time too. But it takes effort for us, for sure, to not let it overcome every conversation.
I think it's important to know that that's just normal. It's normal and it's fine. So I have a confession. The funny story is we watch a lot of movies as well too, but now I don't have little kids anymore. So it is just, I will be watching a movie and the same thing happens. Like I'll be thinking, like I have paused a movie before and said, that is such a great business idea. Or like you just, or yeah, I can't help it. Or it's like, isn't that I have caught myself as well too, even just like, that's a great like line or thing to remember, to share. I don't know. Anyway, it's just funny.
I know.
But I don't think it's a bad thing. Let's normalize that. Like, let's just normalize that. And I agree, most of the entrepreneurial couples, which is different than our 9-to-5 friends, I will say, like people that don't, like they just, so that's why actually it's good to have friends who are not entrepreneurs, and you go out for dinner with them and there's no business talk. So we do have
that balance.
We do have those moments of life. So it's just, I did want to ask you about that. So I do want to honor your time. I know we're running like tight on our time, and I appreciate, because I know you have so many things on the go right now. I can't even keep up with all the things and all the travel and all the wonderful moves and big things happening. So just to wrap up, I love to share rapid fire questions. Are you up for that? Are you?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So, because sometimes these go fast, sometimes they get kind of deep. So what is a goal that you set for yourself that you utterly, like, it just blew your mind that you achieved? Anything come to mind?
Well, there's one thing that comes to mind. Okay, let me say this, and I will be quick with this. But when I first started my business, I didn't even know how to set goals, because I just never dreamed anything was possible that has been possible. So I didn't even know how to set goals.
I agree.
So every single thing I've accomplished is bigger than what I thought. But the fact of thinking I could make $1 million in sales or in anything, that was the most far-fetched thing I'd ever heard. So making the first $1 million, I just could not even fathom that could be my life.
What is this, right?
Yeah. That was probably the biggest thing as far as like from a business monetary standpoint. And being honored by Forbes and Inc. 5000 were the others. That was not even on my radar. That was only what big name people did, not little Kentucky girl. So that was a huge thing in the business.
I saw that, and I was so proud for you. And I agree. And thanks for the reminder again for everybody. We can't imagine what's possible. You're right. I couldn't say even us being able to, like, we've done things as well too. We moved to a cottage by the sea. That wasn't in my, I'm going to work hard and we're going to do that and we're going to live here. Like, that's just not. Earlier we were talking about, I had an opportunity to teach in Italy and France, and it was like, you can't put that down on your goals. It's opportunities.
That was an opportunity.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. So thinking bigger. So I love that for you.
I'm putting that on my goal list now, because I know you did it, and I'm like, That's possible. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm going to
How can
find
we make
somewhere
that
that will want
happen?
me to
Yes, I
come.
totally agree. I go for it because it's totally
Yes.
amazing. And I know
Oh,
you're like that. Complete this statement. What I lose track of time when?
I lose track of time when I'm painting and being creative, like when I'm
Mm,
just not having to work, like even though it is totally work, when I'm just in my zone of creativity, I could sit there and do that for so long and not ever have a clue what's going on with the outside world. Like that's where I release myself and I can get totally caught up in that.
wow, that's beautiful. What are you grateful you didn't do this past year?
Oh gosh, that's a hard one. What am I grateful that I did not do? Oh gosh, Wendy. That's a really good question. Well, I'm grateful I didn't give up. I'm grateful I didn't say no to my mastermind. I almost didn't start a mastermind. I almost let fear and inadequacy and all the things that we all feel. You might think certain people don't, they do. And I knew that people were asking me for a mastermind and were needing that, or like me specifically
Yeah,
wanted me to start one because I'm who they wanted to learn from.
yeah.
But I almost didn't do it. It was a very last minute thing. And I just knew I was like, okay, I'm going for it. I feel like this is what I'm supposed to be doing. I'm going to do it, but I almost didn't. And I'm very thankful that I didn't listen to my fear and didn't stop myself because it's been a wonderful thing and it filled up and all the great things. So I'm very happy about that, but I almost didn't do it. So
For
I'm
sure.
glad that I didn't not do it.
Yeah. No, yeah. Well, it's true. You could have easily have said no, right? So yeah.
Mhm.
So pushing through that resistance is always hard for us, right? Like there's
Yes,
something that, and it's so interesting because like looking at you, I was like, of course you would have a mastermind. Like I just like think like to me that seems like an obvious thing. And I'm sure your mentors and coaches and that you work with, because I know we both, have those people in our lives probably encouraged you to do it. But
they
it's that
did.
you still have to have that internal thing, right? That
You
internal
do.
thing that gives you. So yeah, the same exact thing happened with my mastermind, and I call it one of my biggest blessings. I love my mastermind. Like I
Yes,
love running those. That's my it's a joy for me, and I feel like it's a joy for you. I see you
it
talk about
is.
it, and I feel like those people are, I don't know, you get connected with a mastermind. It's just an awesome thing to have. So
It is awesome.
yeah. Last question. Favorite or current business book or podcast that you love to recommend to people?
Okay. So my favorite business book that I have read recently was Buy Back Your Time by Dan
And
Martell.
Martell. Yeah.
And I mean, like I'd heard about it forever, just
Mm.
finally read it because
Mhm.
it's not brand new or anything. But man, when I read it, I'm just like it changed my mindset. Like,
Same.
and
Same.
that's usually what it takes is to change your mindset before you can change your actions. And so when I read it, I'm just like, oh, I'm thinking about time all wrong. And I'm still working through that and trying to make those changes because you get so caught up in your rut and the way you do things that coming out of that and changing your strategies and the way you do it is a little different. But man, that was a great book. And I highly recommend anybody to read it. And I highly recommend you to get, if you've got an assistant or an executive assistant or someone that works closely with you, to read
Oh,
that as well, because it helps them understand time and how to help free it up for you. So I had my executive assistant read it too, because I just wanted her to understand my time, just like I'm trying to understand my time. And that was very valuable too.
that's a fantastic idea and fantastic tip because yeah, I agree. I love that book too. I actually just read it too like 4 months ago, and it was a big
Yeah.
mind shift for me. And a companion to that, not a companion, but Dan's book, Clockwork. If you read Clockwork a lot, like if you could read Clockwork by Mike Michalowicz book,
Uh-huh.
it is like the two of them together blows your
Just
mind.
blow
Like
your
I'm
mind.
making
I'll
tons of
have to
shifts,
read
but
that one.
I found that yeah, between the two of them, it was amazing. Clockwork was one of our mastermind books, and then it's just great. But I love, love, love that tip. And this is great advice for anybody. If there's something that you have read or passionate about, give it to your key team members. Like so we're all on the same page, right? We're all singing from the same song sheet, as I like to say. Like, we know what's going on, right? So and
Yes.
where Brooke's mind is and where your mind is, like what we're going towards. I love that.
Yeah, and you're
Yeah.
paying them to do it. Like I didn't expect her to do it in her own time necessarily. I'm sure she may have. I didn't monitor
Mm.
that or look
Yeah.
over her shoulder, but it's like this is business. So if you
Yeah.
you take a few minutes each day, even in your workday, to read this, like this is going to help us both. So yeah, I highly recommend doing that. With a lot of books, podcasts, training, stuff that you see, let your team in on it. You can't keep it all to yourself. That's going to help them be better team members for you too.
Absolutely. Anything else to share with us? You want to tell us about how we can reach you or where you're
yeah. So if you just want to follow on social media, sometimes I'm a little bit entertaining because you never know what I might say or do. So you can follow me at Refabbed or the Refab Boutique. I'm on all the platforms. I'm on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, Pinterest, all the places. And then also, if you're interested in any of my coaching or services, stuff like that, you can go to BrookeRileyCoaching.com.
And we'll have all of that information in the show notes, of course. And I highly recommend. Your group is amazing. You have a wonderful group and some really good,
fun.
Just constant learning. And I appreciate that you do the learning and then tell us about it. So you do learning and then you tell the rest of the world about it. So I think that's a wonderful
thing. I think we never
so.
stop learning. We never should stop learning. I think as soon as you feel like you've learned enough, that's probably when you're about done. Like, because
I agree.
It's just constantly, the world is constantly changing, the online space, the retail world, every bit of it's going to change and you got to stay in the know. So whoever you like to learn from, you just need to stay involved with that so that you don't miss out on the opportunities that are right there, because they may be different tomorrow.
Yeah. And it's interesting because there's those who are following that advice and you watch them grow and succeed and they're trying new things. And then there's those that want to just stay and complain. So the stay and complainers are the ones like I call them the yeah butters. Yeah, but Facebook doesn't work. And I'm like, well, then let's make it work. What is working? Get on live, do the things, right? So anyway, could go on a whole other podcast.
A whole other thing about that for sure.
I was just going to say it's a whole other mindset. Thank you so much, Brooke, for being here with us. I appreciate your time and attention and all the great information that you've shared with our listeners today. I really appreciate you. And I think you have such a kind and aligned way of teaching and a way of speaking and a way of being in the world. I don't know, being in the world makes it sound like,
I know what you mean, but I appreciate that.
I really do. I feel like you're such an authentic gift to everybody, to all of us. So I appreciate you and all your time. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for being with us.
Fun. Thank you for having me.
Well, that's it for this week's episode of the Creative Shop Talk podcast. I'm so glad that you're here to join us this week, and I hope you found value in what we're sharing here. I want to remind you that our website has all of the show notes. You can find it at wendybatten.com/podcast. Everything that you need to hear about today's podcast is there. Also an opportunity if you need to reach out to me. If I can support you in any way whatsoever, please feel free to reach out. So thanks for joining us. Please leave a review, subscribe if you can, and never miss an episode. We hope to see you back here again next week. Thanks, my friend. Have a great week.